You are now entering a safe area.
This is an emergency services notification. Do not eat any snow you find on the ground and that may be contaminated. Thank you. This is an emergency services announcement. Due to the possible risk of infection, all group sports activities have been canceled. Please do not gather in
might be interested in.
outside the safe zone.
Do what I can from here.
Dallas, what's going on?
You can't sleep well.
We'll lay down. You need to take your blanket. Here, Dallas. Yep.
You there? Get a load of all this. You win some, you lose some.
Where am I going to get this? No.
Okay, people. Let's have a toast.
Almost started to think we might go back to our old lives someday. Hey, gotta see it to believe it.
It was right over here. That's what it was.
Sorry, this ain't exactly cordon bleu.
Where's that vendor at? That's where it was. It was somewhere over here.
Let's have a toast to our team.
Where's the vendor at?
Looking forward to collaborating with you. With the LMB gone, we can start getting things connected to the rest of the city. Dare I say it? Look, we both got shit to do right now. Talk later.
Yeah, bye. You have no idea how many lives you might have saved out at the Hudson Yards.
I've been in there now. It's probably down there in the basement. It's probably right down there. They probably removed it. The medical room is not in there.
Best gear in the city. Check it out.
Your attention, please. Dr. Ellis will be continuing his lecture series this evening at 1900 hours in room 32.
Or whatever the hell they call it this week. Only chance we got is if we all come together on this. Help each other out. We're New Yorkers, that's what we do. Remember that. Because we're gonna be tested.
Your attention, please. For your protection,
This is one golden opportunity to tell shit. And I don't mean food or medicine, I'm talking about stuff really things. I mean, who the fuck
Don't
needs
be
a goddamn
shy.
flat screen right now? But it's about to get worse. Apparently, the screws of the jail on Rikers Island are either dead or they gave up and went home. Because word on the street is the doors are open.
See anything you like?
I got a good feeling about this one. Hey there! Come on over!
Okay.
I'm thinking this could be good. That's a keeper right there.
Feel free to browse.
Daddy,
Hmm.
tomorrow we have pajama day.
My fingers are crossed.
All right.
Come on, let's get lucky. That's a look I don't see too often.
Anything here you want?
I got a good feeling about this one.
think you got a cipher key? Come on, let's get lucky. You don't see that every day.
Feel free to browse.
Yeah, this one feels lucky. That's gonna look unbelievable on you.
Daddy, am I gonna wear this sleeve pajamas? Kind of look kind of cold.
You gonna what? I didn't hear you say.
Am I gonna wear this kind of pajama? Let's go right into a different something else.
Come on, let's get lucky.
What is this gonna do?
Good luck. That looks real good on you.
One more?
Come on, let's get lucky. Your weapon is gonna look fantastic.
Hey, anything you're looking for?
Resistance is patch 1.8's biggest feature. I mean, it's in the name of the patch. This new PvE game mode is supposed to provide us with countless hours of intense, close-quarters combat. And it kind of does. The mode is basically...
Hey, gotta see it to believe it.
Waves of enemies coming at you. Really, it says right in the name, I can't. You can run it and reap better rewards the higher waves you go, until the game finally defeats you. Alongside the map, you've got a bunch of extra stuff you need to watch, like turrets that you can activate with SHD tech, or ammo and health packs. So the more you progress through the waves, the more SHD tech you collect. You can then use this to activate turrets or to open more stages of the map. And this is where I first got disappointed with this new mode. You see, after each wave, you're presented with a leaderboard that displays your total kills, your downs, revives, and how much SHD you collected during the round. And when I first saw the table, I was like, wow, finally, my rants about a proper leaderboard and game statistics have been heard. Alas, this was not the case. There's a leaderboard, alright. Game mode at first, there are still quite some things that you can do to give yourself a better chance at getting to the higher waves. And yes, that is what I'm going to talk about with this video. This is going to be a resistance guide, so to speak. So, let's get into it. First up, let's talk about the game mode itself, as if you've never played it, because I'm sure that not everybody had access to the PTS, so I'm sure that not everybody watching this video has played the game mode. At its base, it is very much like the Call of Duty Zombies mode. If you've ever played that, you kill a few enemies that spawn in waves. Those enemies, they give you points or money, which in this case is called SHD tech that you have to collect, and you can then spend that SHD tech to open doorways that lead to new parts of the map. I'd say that the maps are pretty big. If you were to compare it to Call of Duty, I'd say that the maps are actually bigger, but they don't really feel bigger because you're always opening big chunks of the map at once every time that you buy a new doorway to some new place. With Call of Duty, you only get one new room or one new hallway, but with the Division, you can get this whole entire complex or half a ship pretty much. So while the maps themselves are bigger, it's not going to feel like there's as much of a progression system as in Call of Duty Zombies. Each of these different areas that you can unlock offer a variety of tools to the players. The most straightforward ones would be the ammo box, the medkit box, the special ammo box, the grenade box, basically anything that you can use and consume to help yourself out, give yourself more damage or whatever. You'll be able to refill those, but of course not for free. You're going to have to spend that SHD tech on them. And then aside from all those boxes, the areas on the map can also have any of the 3 fortifications, 2 of which we of course already know from Last Stand. We have the...
Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back for another Division video. And this one, maybe, just maybe, might help somebody. I know the PTS is on PTS, basically part 2, and since the very first PTS was dropped, Camp Clinton has been open and ready for players.
Incoming supply drops detected. Calibrating landing zones.
Access Camp Clinton.
Warning. Now leaving the safe area.
I would come to this door and it would not open. It would not give me no sort of notification to go in or anything.
Get ready. Head's been cut off, Mr. Dragon. Shouldn't be too much of a problem.
So I posted a video.
Cannon, time to go. Hold on, Mike.
And it was titled, I think, How to Access Camp Clinton. And the only way that I could get into it is have somebody from my friends list be in Camp Clinton and send me an invite, and I would spawn into it. Well, I found out how to do it, guys. So, if you're on the PTS and wanting to get in Camp Clinton, on your actual game, the Division, the real game, on the real servers, if you did not complete the mission Unknown Signal, I just completed it, and it was right in this area right here. After you complete all the main story missions, it'll prompt you to go to this mission that's going to be right here, and it's called Unknown Signal. And once you do that mission, it'll take you and show you. It'll show you. I'll show you a video, and I wanted to try to find it to see which one it was. Maybe it was this one. You basically open the door, you walk in, and there'll be a uplink where you see all the people around you, and then it shows you this video here. It talks about the virus. It's basically the the end game, the plot to it all. So we're going to stop that because we don't want to spoil it. So once you do that, it'll pop up on your screen and say, "Agent, you're needed at Camp Clinton." See, as it said, there's a mission here. This is where it brought me next. So I just got here. I haven't even fully been into Camp Clinton yet, and we're going to do it together. I'm actually pretty excited because the new resistance mode has just been added, and we're going to take a look at it.
Oh man, Camp Hudson.
Wow. So this is going to be our special blueprints vendor. High quality ammo cache. Our own stash. Premium vendor, you gotta get those microtransactions. Daily HVTs, weekly HVTs. An equipment vendor that probably has nothing. Oh, right now he has all of the exotics. There's also an exotics Westside Piers weapon cache, which will give you all the new exotic weapons. And were the new
Howdy folks, and welcome back to The Division. Patch 1.8 went live on the 5th of December yesterday. I haven't played The Division in a while, and somebody's been leaving messages in every single YouTube video that I've uploaded for the last month and a half, letting me know that there was a new patch coming out for The Division on the 5th of December. So I thought, okay, I can take a hint. Let's go and take a look and see what's changed. Because it's been a while since I logged in, the weekly supply drop was available, so I thought, well, okay, the first thing I'll do is check that out. I'm playing on World Tier Difficulty 5, which is as hard as it gets. So some things haven't changed. The AI are still not incredibly smart. I got a bit worried when I saw that the entire street was full of elites, but, well, they don't know where I'm shooting from. So this is going to be the easiest weekly supply cache I think I've ever managed to get myself. Is that the Joint Task Force Patrol just sort of casually wandering along the street behind these guys? It is. You know, if you guys want to get involved, you see them up there. Oh, they're wandering the other way now, the top right corner of the screen. No, that's okay, I've got this. The last one, yeah. Right, yeah. Daily assignment complete. A whole bunch of headshot kills. And the weekly supply drop cache has been secured. Right, what's in the box, Jingles? Let's go and see what we've won. Not the most inspiring start, I have to admit. I've done this supply cache in this location before, and those guys were all over me, pushed me out of my sniping position with grenades, they flanked me, came up the stairs behind me. Not today. Just, it's too much like hard work. And the JTF patrol just, you know, completely ignoring the last man battalion mercenaries standing in the middle of the road with their backs to them is also not.
Hey guys, Roller or Taylor here, and today I'm back with another Division video. And today we're going to be talking about the new game mode that will be coming in update 1.8 for free. And that game mode is Resistance. This is a PvE game mode. And I know Resistance can mean a lot of things, but I might as well just say it now. It is going to be a Horde.
Back up. We'll have to reestablish a connection to... Establish a connection to...
It's over here. Wait, how come I can't play?
Hey, what's going on, you guys? Kamikaze Von Doom here with another Division video. And today's video is going to be a guide on how to unlock the secret mission within the Westside Piers that came out in Update 1.8. Now, I know it's already 1.8.1, and next month we're going to get 1.8.2, but I still run into players all the time that are new to this game that don't even know about Westside Pier, and they sure don't know about this patch, the Silver Patch. Now, there's certain things you have to do to unlock the secret mission. It's not hard, and to do the secret mission isn't hard either. But I'm going to split up these videos, and today's video is going to be on what to do to unlock it yourself, and what to do when you unlock it, what to do to complete the secret mission. And then I'm going to upload another video.
Now entering a safe area.
Stuff in the city.
And their agent will
Hey, New York, it's your Uncle Ricky.
something with his watch.
We need to talk.
And it'll only take like a second or two. They have to make a noise.
Well, let's just say it sounds more like something out of an airport paperback in real life. And no, I cannot believe I just referred to my present state of biological terrorism apocalypse.
You guys heard that little click noise? Now, for the person at the piers, you would run wave 15 on each of the 3 locations. Upon doing that, you will come up here to Camp Clinton, go upstairs, up left corner, and you'll have the ability to hold X on this map. And you'll talk to Sheila, I believe it's her name, and she will reward you with this evidence.
Like the DCD cleaning up its mess.
Shade transmission.
Hazmat gear with homemade flamethrowers. Would I believe anything? I know how it sounds. Like I've been saying, paranoia is the only sane response to the last few weeks. I'm trying to chase down something concrete, and when I do, you'll be the first to know about it.
Now that is shade transmission. It's basically just Morse code.
Just because you're paranoid, don't mean they ain't
Somehow
out to
took
get
that
you.
course in college, you would know that those are important. Now, like,
Warning. You are now leaving the safe area.
they gave you the coordinates to a certain phase of the simulation. Now, to get both phases, both of the 2 phases for the secret mission, you have to also have shade transmission 2. Now, in order to get shade transmission 2, you have to collect all the new phones that are located within the West Side Pier. Now, remember, you have a West Side Pier South and a West Side Pier North. Now, in the description below, I'll input a picture of the map with all the phone locations. However, just by
Get the signal back up.
West Side Pier and just killing NPCs, you'll automatically find 90% of those phones. But once you collect all those phones, again, it will tell you to come back here to Camp Clinton. You'll come to this desk, it'll tell you you can hold X again, talk to the lady, and she'll reward you with shade transmission 2. Now again, just like the first one, I don't have to play it, it's Morse code, and it'll give you 3 more locations. Now in the description below, I'll also give you guys each location and step-by-step what to do. So all you need is this video, and then you'll watch my gameplay video, and I help 3 players complete the mission, and then there you go, you'll have it. Now, to a quick note, you only need 1 person with these 2 transmissions, these 2 pieces of evidence. You can carry, now again, just like the first one, 15 on each of these 3. Carrier, Pier 93, and Powerhouse. Now, some people get it confused with the accommodations of reaching wave level 20 on each. However, to do this secret mission, you just have to complete wave 15 on each of the 3
Signal back up. We'll have to.
Upon doing that, you will come up here to Camp Clinton, go upstairs, top left corner, and you'll have an ability to hold X on this map. And you'll talk to Sheila, I believe is her name, and she will reward you with this evidence.
Agent, you're needed at Camp Clinton over on the West Side Piers. Make your way here as soon as you can.
took that course in college, you would know that those are coordinates. Now, like the rest of us, we looked it up. Now, from those, it gave you coordinates to a certain phase of the secret mission. Now, to get both phases, both of the two phases for the secret mission, you have to also have Shade Transmission 2. Now, in order to get Shade Transmission 2, you have to collect all the new phones that are located within the Westside Pier. Now remember, you have a Westside Pier South and a Westside Pier North. Now, in the description below, I'll input a picture of the map with all the phone locations. However, just by running through Westside Pier and just killing NPCs, you'll automatically find 90% of those phones. But once you collect all those phones, again, it'll tell you to come back here to Camp Clinton. You'll come to this desk, it'll tell you you can hold X again, talk to the lady, and she'll reward you with Shade Transmission 2. Now again, just like the first one, I don't have to play it, it's Morse code, and it'll give you 3 more locations. Now in the description below, I'll also give you guys each location and step by step on what to do. So all you need is this video, and then you'll watch my gameplay video when I help 3 players complete the mission, and then there you go, you'll have it. Now, to a quick note, you only need 1 person with these 2 transmissions, these 2 pieces of evidence. You can carry 3 other players. For example, I have all this unlocked. As you can see, there was no phones, I have both of the transmissions. I can start the secret mission by myself. Therefore, I can get 3 people to join me, and I can help them get the mission without them doing all those waves of resistance and getting all those phones. So that's the best part. So if you want to be like me and have it all done and help out all your friends and buddies, then watch both of the videos and you'll be set. Now right here in the description below, you'll see there'll be coordinates to a place called Pier, and this is Pier. It's an X, it's where one of the 3 players are going to be for the first phase of the secret mission. Now there's a certain order for each phase. So for the first phase, there are 3 locations. You get the pier, which is where I'm standing. You'll have the disco, and you'll have the gas station. And I'll have the exact numbers listed below, so don't worry. I'm gonna baby you guys through this. Now, those 3 locations are where the 3 players have to stand. And in a certain order, they will hold X while standing over their marked location, and their agent will start to do something with his watch. And it'll only take like a second or 2, and then afterwards it'll make a noise. So for example, because I have everything unlocked, I can do it myself. So I'm holding X, and you guys heard that little clink noise. Now for the person at the piers, he would run this direct route, and he'd be going to Barrels. Now Barrels, I'll have the exact coordinates listed below, but if you're going to be the guy running Pier to Barrels, this is the exact route you run. So everybody hits their X at a certain time, and then they all run certain routes.
You are now entering a
Obviously,
safe area.
you don't have to jump over that little barrier like I did. Alright, and then right under here, you'll see the barrels. On the other side of the barrels is this X. You basically stand here and wait, kill NPCs, And then when everyone is in position, you hold X while over this X in a certain order. Now let me clear this out. I'll show you guys, or actually, I'll just go ahead and show you guys the other locations. So this will be a little lengthy, but this is the quickest guide and the most accurate guide you'll ever get. I'm going to show you guys locations in video. I'm going to describe it to you verbally. I'm going to write it down for you so you can read it. You guys will get this and it'll be a piece of cake. Now during the gameplay, we'll show you guys exactly how to execute it, what the what everything sounds like, and what order everything needs to be done.
Hey there. I'm glad you made it. Welcome to Camp Clinton. It's our toehold over here on the west side piers. We've been moving into the area in hopes of bringing it under control. Unfortunately, we're not the only ones here. That isn't surprising. What is surprising is that we've gotten evidence of them
so
working
within
together.
the disco,
That's why we need you here.
that is another set of coordinates. There are 3 coordinates.
Find out why. And once
If
you
you
do
remember,
that, just shut them
here,
down.
disco,
Good luck.
gas station.
Hopefully you
The
won't need
second
it.
set of coordinates are barrels, car wash, and rooftop. Now here at the disco, here's this X. Now you're standing on your X, you do phase 1, you do it in whatever order, you hold X, your agent messes with his watch, and you're going to run this route. You're going to exit the disco, hang a right, run all the way down the street, and then up here on your right you'll see these taxis, and it's a little fenced in parking lot.
Hey, anything you're looking for?
And you jump on top of this van.
Too goddamn cold.
And right here in the corner is your second location. And then like the other guy at barrels, you're going to stand here until all 3 of you are in the position, and then you do them in the right order. And finally, well, I guess not finally, there's technically 4. So you're going to do this with 4 players. So we just went over the piers, the barrels, which is player 1. Then we went over player 2, which was disco, to the, I call it the parking lot. This would be where player 4 is. He will sit here at Pier 93. When the 3 players are done with their first set of X's and they are running to their second location, the 4th player will run this route.
Warning, now leaving the safe area.
So the first phase, player 4 does nothing. Player 4 will just sit there and listen, as the first 3 players on their X's will hold X and do the animation on their watches in a certain order. It'll make a noise, and upon completion of that first order, you'll hear Isaac say really loudly, mission online. And when you hear that, that's when this is player 4. Player 4 runs from Pier 93 all the way down here past the park. And again, the exact location will be marked in the description below this video. I'm just gonna show you guys the route. I have everybody run, and we do this every time. It's amazing. It's foolproof. You just have to make sure everyone does what they're supposed to in the order they're supposed to do it, and you'll complete this every time. Now right here, You saw I hit the fence, and then there's a rope here to my left. At the top of here, there's an X. This is where player 4 will be. So for the second round, it'll be barrels, followed by the parking lot, and then this is rooftop. So player 4 ends up being on one of the X's for the second phase. So now we've gone over player 1, player 2, and player 4, and then all we have left is player 3. Now player 3, in the description below, it will be gas station. It'll have the coordinates there, and he will be running to the door where the secret room is. I highly recommend that the person at gas station is the person that has everything unlocked and is the party leader. That way he knows when, you know, the light's on, you know, everything, and it's all smoothly, and he can open up the door and everyone can fast travel to him. Now my technique to get to the gas station is fast travel to Pier 93, which I'm about to arrive at, up here on my left. So you see over there is Pier 93, and what you do is you go down this road to the north, and your first building or first opening you run into is what they call the gas station. There's a couple pumps right here for all their cleaner trucks. So here is the gas station location. Here's your X for phase 1. Now in my gameplay video, you'll see this is where the gameplay video will start. And this will be us starting. So again, it'll be gas station, disco, and the pier. And then they're all running to their next X's. And the gas station, or the group leader, or whoever, upon completion of that first phase, will run this route straight to the secret room. Now, if this is helpful, smash a like. If you guys have any questions, use the comment section below. I will answer them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Get all my build videos, tips, tricks, gameplays, everything. Now this, what's up, bro? Alright. Now right here in this alley is where the secret room is. These double doors. Now when you get here, and the other 3 players, so the pier guy is running to the barrels, the disco guy is running to the parking lot, and player 4 is running from Pier 93 to that rooftop. When they're all there and in order, they'll hit them in a certain order that I'll have described and you'll have in the gameplay. This light will come on when the first person does it right, the second person does it right, the doors will light up, and the third person does it right, it'll say I can open up these doors. Now below there is the secret room, and inside that secret room is a laptop. Now the laptop will be activated, and when it's activated you get all your rewards and everything. Now you can only get the rewards 1 per character, not player. So if you have 4 players, or 4 characters on your account that are leveled up and whatnot, they can do this 4 times. Now if you've already done this, and you've already opened up the laptop and you're just helping out your buddies, then you won't be able to open it up again. Now when you're done interacting with the laptop, you're going to get rewards. You're going to get a Westside Pier weapon cache, an exotic cache, and a classified cache. Now the classified cache and the exotic cache, there's nothing to explain there, pretty self-explanatory. Now the Westside Pier weapon cache is actually quite special. And I will fast travel to Camp Clinton and tell you why. Except for I am in combat. Now, the other rewards you get are the accommodation, which I believe is under missions. You'll get the accommodation, it's 50 points, and you'll also get the patch silver. It has Morse code written on it, and the objective is all the question marks. Now, the weapons are named weapons that you get out of this secret mission. And if you've played Last Stand or Skirmish, or actually the Dark Zone, you get killed by another player, and it says their name, but it won't show you what the gun they use to kill you. It's because they're using one of those named weapons. Let's see if I can... There we go. And I'll show you the named weapons real quick, and then we will be done with this video. Now, I hope you guys saw this video to be helpful, and if not, just check out that description below. I'll have everything for it. I'll baby you guys through this. It's actually alarming how many players I join on a daily basis that don't even know about this mission. So I know this video should be helpful. And then if you guys need more, just check out my video. Now let's look at a few of these named weapons you would get out of this secret mission. Hazmat P416 Mark II. Fireman's Super 90 Mark II. And I think oh yeah, JTF P416 Mark II. Now, the thing about these weapons, I'll go ahead and spoiler alert, these weapons, you cannot re-roll them, you cannot sell them, you cannot dismantle them, you cannot optimize them. I mean, you can't even put a skin on them. You see that? You can't even put a skin on them. Now, it's just a named weapon. So hopefully you guys get a good roll named weapon. But yeah, it's the bittersweet reward you get. But alright guys, it's your boy Kamikaze Von Doom here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Calling all agents. We have an inbound blizzard warning. We have to get the cure and get out before the storm hits.
Come on, move it! We don't have much time!
The Hunters are a completely different NPC type that was introduced when the survival update dropped. Unfortunately, there isn't really that much covered in-game. Through the recordings and echoes, and even the New York Collapse book only briefly mentions something that could be directed towards the Hunters. So as far as the official story goes, the identity of the Hunters is a mystery. But through the facts we do know about them, there are a number of theories as to who the Hunters are and where they come from. In this video, I'm going to run through some of the more popular theories and discuss the potential origin and motives of these agent killing machines. For the purpose of figuring out where they sit in the overall lore of the Division, I'll be talking about the Hunters based on their initial introduction to the game, Survival, as I believe that the addition of Hunters to the underground, legendary missions, and Resistance was more of a challenge and balancing update to these game modes than a continuation of the story. Of course, the same could be said about the initial introduction of the Hunters too, but there are just too many telltale signs and pieces that line up to consider these as simply a new NPC added for greater difficulty with no backstory. Firstly, let's cover what we do know about the Hunters. They use advanced combat movement and strategies, have stronger weapons and tougher armor than Division agents, use shade technology, behave cooperatively, target first and second wave Division agents, don't attack civilians, collect agent watches, originated in the Dark Zone. Based on this information alone, I feel it's fairly reasonable to state that the Hunters are not affiliated with the Rioters, Rikers, Cleaners, and even the LMB, as their technology and training is far superior to anything these factions offer. So with this in mind, let's run over some of the theories that have come out. Hunters are former First Wave agents loyal to Aaron Keener. This is probably one of the most popular theories out there. As we know, Keener has a blueprint for the Dollar Flu. He obtained it through Ambrose' laboratory. And he also has Dr. Vitaly Tynenko, who has the knowledge to create a potential cure. So naturally, he'd want a cure to be developed to keep himself and everyone loyal to it safe. The antivirals, even if they're experimental, would be beneficial towards the creation of the cure. So having agents that were highly skilled and trained to protect these would be of interest to Keener. On top of this, if the Strategic Homeland Division was to obtain the antivirals and create a cure, it would severely reduce the threat of Keener's plan to weaponize the virus, dramatically lowering any leverage he has. So the Hunters are basically there as an elite agent, collecting and stopping anyone from extracting the antivirals from the Dark Zone. It's certainly possible, and a lot of things do line up, but this theory doesn't quite sit well with me, and I'll go into that soon. But first, I'll run over theory number 2. It's very similar to this one, but with one very slight difference. Hunters are former First Wave agents, not loyal to Aaron Keener. As we know, when things went from bad to worse in the Dark Zone, Aaron Keener split from the division and went rogue. A number of First Wave agents proceeded to join him. Any agents that didn't were killed. And because of this, any agents that weren't loyal to Aaron Keener cut communications and went into hiding. This cutting of communications was to stop them from being hunted down, but unfortunately this would have also cut them off from the rest of the division too. It's likely that while in hiding, they weren't actually aware of the second wave being activated. So when the second wave agents show up using SHD tech and other division agent gear, they're just seen as another first wave agent fighting for Keener. We also need to think about the mental state of these agents. Second wave agents have it tough, but the first wave agents would have had it much worse. Then they had the government pull out of the Dark Zone, leaving them behind. And finally, with the likes of Keener and his rogue agents, they started turning on each other. This could explain why the Hunters fight with such brutality. They're seeking revenge. And why did they come out of hiding to attack agents during Blizzard? They see the agents are weakened and struggling to get extracted, so they're using the opportunity to strike back. This theory feels a lot more plausible than the previous one, as it talks a lot more to the savage fighting style and trophy hunting practices of the Hunters. They're alone, cut off from the outside world, and seeking revenge for Aaron Keener's betrayal of the government and their fellow First Wave agents. But there is one thing that just doesn't feel right with these two theories. The Hunters are obviously the next tier up from the division agents. Their movement, fighting styles, armor, and even their equipment is of higher quality and better technology than the first and second wave agents. They have tech specifically for jamming SHD equipment. Sure, having been left to survive on their own against the weather and other hostile factions will have taught them some things, and honed in on a few of their existing talents. But it hasn't been long enough for them to be able to fight that much more effectively than the rest of the division agents. We've already faced a couple of Keener's rogue agents, Scarecrow and Raptor, and the Hunters are on a completely different level. Now I'm just stating that they're not first wave agents. I still believe they have something to do with the SHD. Hunters are Russian agents. I see this one pop up from time to time. The idea behind this one is that while locked up in the Russian consulate, Vitaly Tynenko contacted the Russian government and tried to exchange his knowledge on the virus for an escape out of the city. This was too late, as the Russian consulate was sieged by Aaron Keener and the LMB, and he was kidnapped. The Russians learned of this and retaliated by sending in a group of highly trained agents to hunt him down. This is why the Hunters are always targeting first and second wave division agents, in hope that they can extract information on Aaron Keener and his whereabouts. These agents have to specialize in keeping out of sight, and must appear as though they're not affiliated with Russia to avoid international conflict between the two superpower countries. I can see why people have come up with this somewhat cliché theory, but there are a number of things that just don't really line up. In the Tynenko audio logs, we're told about Russia pulling out of New York pretty heavily following the outbreak. With the fact that a number of the larger cities in Russia have also been hit with the virus, they're more likely to be committing all resources to help themselves. But the Russian government needs Tynenko for his knowledge on the virus. We need to remember that Ambrose went to Russia to study, as Russia is the only other country that has smallpox samples. In fact, he met Tynenko in a Russian lab. It's more than likely that Russia already has their own research on the virus. Plus, we need to remember that this is a global epidemic. The situation is dire. countries will be focusing on containing and fixing the problems at home, rather than using precious resources on political agendas. Hunters are the third wave. This is the theory that I find the most probable, as it ticks the most boxes and feels the most in line with the story, and it also acts as a bit of a twist for the future of the franchise. The second wave was activated with the objective to find out what happened to the first wave, and to continue with their goal of restoring order. When the second wave learned about the treason of the first wave, the government was also listening. Up until this point, the second wave was doing a good job shutting down the hostile factions, and now the biggest threat that was rising was the agents themselves. We need to think about it from the government point of view. First wave agents are sent in, they all go MIA. Second wave agents get sent in to investigate. They find out that the first wave agents betray their country and go rogue under the leadership of one of their own. The risk of the second wave joining Keena's crew was extremely high. In order to manage this risk, they have, or they create, a backup plan. The third wave. This wave is equipped with gear and training that solely focuses on taking down SHD agents. To stop it from getting too far out of hand, they release the Hunters, whose primary job is to take down any and all Division agents. Also, the first and second wave agents have been privy to a lot of information around the government's failing of their attempt to contain the outbreak. They forced all of the sick into an area of the city and then gave up and left, leaving agents and thousands of sick to fend for themselves. The Hunters being sent in to eliminate all Division agents mean that there is no one around to know what actually happened. But then who removes the Hunters? I believe that the Hunters are only given enough information to remove the Division agents from New York City, no more, no less. They're simply given the information that all Division agents are traitors and need to be eliminated. This could also explain why the Hunters collect agent watches too. When following missing agent alerts, we find a watch at the end, and this supplies a lot of the information regarding a missing agent. The Hunters are collecting these watches under direction to further assist in stopping the story from getting out. Now, in keeping this disaster a secret, the government cannot be seen to be sending in troops to eliminate their own. This is why the Hunters wear masks, so if seen, they can't be identified. And this could also explain why they kill in such a brutal manner. They want it to appear as if one of the hostile factions were responsible. In the book, Tom Clancy's The Division, New York Collapse, it's hinted that there is a division within the division. This could mean many things, but it implies that there is more than one division within the Strategic Homeland Division. It could just be talking about the first and second wave, but it could also be hinting at the Hunters being a separate faction within the division. Suddenly, Keena's reasons for turning rogue doesn't look so bad, right? Maybe he saw this coming after the initial betrayal of the government, when they left the first wave agents for dead after withdrawing from the dark zone. Maybe this is where the supply drops are coming from, and who they're intended for. These aren't fully explained, and even Fei Lao doesn't fully understand them. Apologies that I couldn't bring in any real hard facts about the story of the Hunters. There just isn't anything out there. I believe they've purposely left the Hunters out of the story for now, to give them that mystery, but I think we'll be hearing more about them in Division 2. Hopefully they'll clear this up for us. This has probably raised more questions than it's answered, but it shows the depth that the Division story can go. Even with the last theory, there are a ton of questions to be answered, but really, any of these are a possibility, as we only have a few clues to go by. Which of these do you find most plausible, or do you have a theory of your own? Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this, or at the very least, I've got you thinking. See you on the next one. Cheers.
This area is safe.
I'm gonna catch you! Shit, don't shoot! I want to put up with you guys, I swear, I know things!
Warning, now we're exiting the safe area.
Roger that. On your feet, you.
Watch out from the beginning.
Shoot! You there!
Hey! Give me that!
In the early days, right after the dollar flu broke out, all attention and resource was placed on containing the virus and reducing the spread of infection. The infected were rounded up and isolated into an area where the best doctors could be brought in to find a cure, but also to stop the illness from dispersing out into the wider population. The government placed absolute priority on the well-being of the public and ensuring that loss of life was kept to a minimum. However, this is New York, the home of Wall Street, the home of the largest and most prestigious stock market in the world. The large Wall Street companies also wanted to ensure that their assets are being protected during the outbreak. Watching the situation quickly escalate, they predicted that the government wasn't going to be able to keep the peace for long. So they brought in some outside help to defend their various corporate interests, and this is where we're introduced to the Last Man Battalion. The Last Man Battalion, or LMB, are a private military company made up of US military veterans, who were brought aboard by their leader, Charles Bliss, who himself was a former US Army officer. Charles Bliss was a lieutenant colonel in the United States Armed Forces. He was proud of the uniform, and he knew from the moment that he first put it on that he would continue to serve long after he leaves the military behind. Bliss leads with an iron fist. Duty, honor, strength, these are just a few words that you can use to describe his character. He is respected by his men, who would follow him to the gates of hell if he asked it of them. After he retired from the armed forces, he decided to work in the private security sector, and this is where he created the Last Man Battalion. In the early days of the outbreak, Bliss was contacted by one of the corporate leaders of Wall Street.
Hi, Rick, it's Charles. I got your message regarding the situation in New York, and I think you're absolutely right. Things are going to get out of hand, faster than the government realizes. They're going to lose control before they've even signed the deployment orders. If you ask me, the only thing that's going to work is to impose absolute authority on the population. People are scared and angry, and that's when they'll act stupid and risk the lives of others. I've seen it too many times. Now you want to shut those instincts down and enforce zero tolerance. Anything beyond that is not going to produce results. And in the long run, that will cost you a lot more than hiring my people.
After convincing several corporations to employ his forces, the LMB were deployed in Manhattan with the goal of protecting their physical assets by any means necessary until the situation had been resolved and the city was back to normal. As the crisis worsened, many of these companies left the city, but the LMB remained and continued to protect the sites. As time went by, Bliss and his forces saw the city go from bad to worse. Sick of the indecisive local authorities and the government's complete lack of ability to control the situation, Bliss was growing tired of standing by and watching the city fall into complete chaos. By the time that the general public realized that this was more than just a bad flu outbreak, Bliss had come to the conclusion that there was no point in handing over his men's lives in order to protect some physical assets, because at the rate things were going, there would be no one coming back to use them. After the JTF withdrew from the city, Bliss decided that it was up to the LMB to restore order to New York.
You can see the results of relying on the Joint Task Force right here in the middle of Manhattan. That's what they're calling the Dark Zone. That's a melodramatic way of saying it's a region of complete lawlessness. No surveillance and total lack of ability to enforce control. That is something you cannot have on your watch. So I thought the purpose was to evacuate. How did that work out? Sure, they got the people out, but what did they let back in? And all the equipment and hardware they left behind? We're talking amateurs here, in charge of public safety in one of the biggest cities in the country. Yes, sir. The point is, this just proves that our operations are more efficient. Methodical expansion, civilian processing, enhanced interrogation. We're working at twice the efficiency with half the manpower. The fact that the JTF failed miserably with the Dark Zone is the same reason this city needs the Last Man Battalion.
Bliss broke his contract with his Wall Street employers and proceeded to disobey direct orders, which ended up with him executing a JTF official. This action had Bliss and his entire company labeled as mutineers and enemies of the government.
He was crazy.
Convinced that not just New York, but the whole country will collapse under the spread of the virus, Bliss tells his people that the LMB will use any and all means necessary to make sure they and the city survive. But only a strong hand could salvage and restore what was left. With their financial backing now gone, Bliss would now have to assess the available resources and plan every step of the way.
What we need to do is assess our resources and define our mission statement. The statement is clear. We must retake control. And with the resources we have left, it's also clear we can't afford any half measures. Every soldier counts. Every soldier is a critical resource. There are no reinforcements being deployed. There is no air support. We work slow and steady. We secure the city sector by sector, and then we hold them for dear life. I need you all to be on your feet, ready to make some quick decisions. It's better to shoot someone innocent than to let someone guilty get away. And it's better to shoot first than to risk being shot, even if you're not 100% sure. That's how we will win this war. That's how we will save this city. Collateral damage is to be expected.
For civilians left in Manhattan, this was a nightmare. The LMB were running the area demanding absolute control, with zero tolerance for disobedience or differing point of view. Any dissent or even questioning of the LMB's operations would result in instant retaliation, with even minor incidents resulting in death at the hands of the LMB soldiers. In an attempt to keep numbers boosted, the LMB would often kidnap JTF and members of other factions that they saw as beneficial to their cause, and give them the offer of either joining up or being killed. The LMB are equipped with cutting-edge equipment and gear, almost at the same caliber as the Division agents. But when Charles Bliss agreed to meet up with former First Wave Division agent, Aaron Keener, Bliss's intentions were to close this technology gap. Bliss and Keener came to an agreement. Aaron Keener is able to utilize the LMB to run missions, and Bliss gets access to Keener's Shade technology. Although he accepts the alliance with Aaron Keener, Bliss criticized how much this deal benefited Aaron Keener more than him. In one of their first missions, Keener gives the LMB coordinates for their surface-to-air missiles to strike.
I think we need to modify the terms of our agreement.
Why, Colonel? It seems to be working perfectly well so far. You get the support of my people and their gear, field intel you couldn't dream of 6 weeks ago. I get a base of operations, a place on what's going to be the winning side, and the occasional use of your manpower as needed.
Not to mention the occasional surface-to-air missile. Or have you forgotten about that chopper in Brooklyn?
Look, my people did some dirty work on that op Bliss, and eliminating Division Senior Command was as much a benefit to you as to me. The last thing either of us wanted was a senior division agent directing a second wave. Hang on, I'm going to see back on the link.
Need some compromise?
Looks like it's coming with it now.
Don't you?
The target is a helicopter carrying the Second Wave Division Commander, along with a number of other Second Wave agents. It was a direct hit, killing the commander and a large number of the Second Wave Division agents. Keener and the LMB have succeeded. From their point of view, it's safe to assume that they've put an end to any further interference from the Division, as they're now leaderless and few in number. It wasn't until the Division picked up an SHD transponder signal that the LMB would next encounter the Second Wave agents. It was located in the basement of the New York Police Academy. The Division pushed through an operation to retrieve the transponder and were met with heavy resistance from the LMB. Even with rogue agents in the ranks, the LMB failed to defend the site, and at this stage the Division are now aware of the First Wave agents working for the other side. Next, the JTF intercepted a signal coming from the Russian consulate. Vitaly Tynenko, a Russian scientist, claims to have information on the green poison, so the Division agents were quickly sent in to extract him. However, Keener and the LMB were one step ahead. While the Division agents were tied up with the LMB, 2 rogue agents captured Vitaly and managed to escape in a helicopter. At this point, the LMB is starting to suffer. The communications hub at Queens Tunnel construction site was taken down by the Division and JTF, and the Grand Central Station, which acted as a strategic forward base, also met an abrupt end at the hands of the Division. On top of that, the amount of supplies, ammunition and manpower lost at these sites are now starting to be felt, putting strain on the remaining LMB forces. Bliss and the LMB have now been pushed back to their main HQ, the United Nations building. It's here that alongside Keener and his rogues that the LMB will make their last stand. The JTF and the Division launch a huge attack. The majority of the LMB are killed in the UN building as the Division agents sweep through. It's then discovered that Keener and his rogues have abandoned the LMB, taking Tynenko with them. After Keener betrays him and leaves the LMB for dead, Bliss is thrown into a state of rage, but he decided to deal with the Second Wave agents storming the General Assembly before going after Keener. Bliss displays his true self, showing loyalty and honor by staying by his men and fighting to the death rather than simply escaping from the complex in his personal helicopter. The Division clears the LMB command and then heads into direct combat with the leader of the Last Man Battalion. Bliss's helicopter was shot down and destroyed, killing Bliss. The remaining LMB personnel evacuated the building, most going into hiding in the underground. After Bliss's death, the LMB was scattered across the city, but they're not down and out yet. Captain Perez takes position to continue Bliss's work. He rallies the remaining LMB forces and heads to the Warrengate water treatment plant. There, they intercept a JTF squad who have discovered a functioning army personnel carrier. News of this reached the government. They decided that the best course of action would be to bomb the plant before the LMB take it out onto the streets of Manhattan. The Division disagreed, saying that the loss of the water treatment plant will only slow down the progress towards rebuilding the city. So the Division will launch an attack against the LMB to shut them down before the government can blow up the building. After a lengthy, some would say repetitive battle, the agents were successful in stopping the LMB and taking down the APC, with Captain Perez inside. It's unknown who is leading the LMB at this stage, but they continue to regroup and organize smaller attacks around the city. News of Aaron Keener's appearance on the West Side Pier had the LMB command calling for a truce with the Rikers and Cleaners. Their attention has been turned to finding the man that betrayed them and their former commander. Though not all LMB personnel agree with this move, as they see their training and discipline as far beyond the other factions, and that the Rikers and Cleaners are useless and a waste of time. But there is one thing that they do all agree on, that Keener must be found. Although the LMB had good training, cutting-edge equipment, military precision, and strong organization, they were still able to be pulled apart by the division agents and the JTF. Things started going wrong for them when some of the basic foundations of their organization started getting cut off. Communication systems were destroyed, forward strongholds lost, and their supplies were seized by government forces. They were eventually locked down in the United Nations building, and this was the final nail in the coffin. Firstly, Keener abandoned them, taking the rogue agents and Vitaly Tanenko with him, and then finally Bliss, refusing to leave his men behind, succumbed to the JTF and the division attack. The LMB are not fully done and dusted. Even after Bliss's death, they continue to regroup and fight, but now on a much smaller, less threatening scale. For the JTF and division agents in New York City, the Last Man Battalion was the last faction capable of stopping them in their goal of restoring order and rebuilding the city. But here's the funny thing, when you think about it, the Last Man Battalion isn't so different to the division. A private army of highly skilled agents, answerable only to the President and otherwise are above the law, empowered to use lethal force to further their ends. Sound familiar? Kinda makes you wonder. Anyway, thanks for watching, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers!
From the first time I put on a uniform, I knew I was on the path to become the man I was destined to be. I knew I had accepted a burden that was going to last a lifetime. And even when I left our country's military behind, my obligation for service remained. That obligation is one I and all the men and women of the Last Man Battalion take seriously. We will get the job done. We will serve with honor and dignity, and we will, if necessary, fight to the very last man. Because that is who we are and what we do. The Last Man Battalion. Security you can count on.
Here we go.
20 seconds until next wave.
Fires, the government is expecting another night of widespread looting.
People of New York are begging for
Forward.
Any available units. Fire at house in the
First responders are either dead
No resources available.
treated like animals.
It's not a job. We're not trained for
Next wave is about to begin.
During the collapse of New York City, many hostile factions rose, using the devastation and lawlessness to quickly gain power and territory in the area. One of those factions is the Rikers. The Rikers are probably one of the most straightforward factions in the division. With these guys, what you see is what you get. There is no hidden agendas within this group. They simply want to create chaos in the wake of the outbreak. The Rikers originated on Rikers Island, which totally explains their name now that I think about it. Rikers Island is New York City's main jail complex. The island is home to one of the world's largest correctional facilities and mental institutions. It has an average population of 10,000 inmates at any time. Rikers has a reputation for abuse and neglect, and is ranked as one of the worst correctional facilities in the United States. Following the outbreak of the green poison, prison guards stopped turning up to work, and a number of the ones that did were sick with the virus. Medical support and supplies were cut off from the island, as the general consensus from officials and the public was that resources were better spent on the public on the mainland. Essentially, the prisons were being left to fend for themselves until the situation on the mainland had been dealt to. The inmate population was compiled of various gang members, but given the situation, they decided to unite under a single leader, and as one unit, they were able to organize an escape from the island. But how did they escape Rikers Island? The reduced guard presence made it relatively easy for the guards to be overpowered. Taking the guards as hostages allowed them to make their way through security, and once they had a clear run of the island, anyone with a badge was executed in a bloody, brutal fashion. This new collaboration was a group of thieves and murderers, and they're ruthless. Now organized, their main objective was simple: enact revenge on authorities, kill everyone with a uniform, especially the JTF. Their next challenge was how they would get off the island and onto the mainland. The leader of this group of inmates, Lara Barrett, had this covered. An administrator of the prison had a bit of a thing for Lara, and through this relationship the administrator had organised a barge so they could sail away into the sunset together. But this relationship didn't last long. As soon as the plan was set in motion, Lara cut the administrator's throat, and this is the precedent of how the Rikers would gain their dominance over New York City. What they lack in technology and training, they more than make up with violence and aggression. Their goal, to take advantage of the current situation in New York and claim ownership for themselves while slaughtering as many uniformed authorities as possible. Lara Barrett was imprisoned at Rikers Island for double murder. She is treacherous, ruthless, and unforgiving. She shows no remorse for her actions and despises authority of any kind.
You claim the officer put you in a chokehold. It ain't a claim, that's a fact. And you felt it was appropriate to pull the gun you had in on your break. It's self-defense. My client feared for her life. And shot 2 officers, both family men incidentally in the back of the head. Execution style at point-blank range. That is a curious kind of self-defense. You're smiling, Barrett. Something you want to share?
Just having me a nice memory. You know, childhood.
Nothing to do with shooting 2 innocent men in the back of the head.
Just puppies and baby dolls and flowers and all that shit.
This is speculation, Detective. Let's stick to the facts.
You know I ain't nothing but sugar and spice and everything nice.
It was Lara who convinced the inmates to join up, through stating that together their numbers would dominate, but separately they would be back under the thumb of the government. She has a very intimidating presence, torturing both captured JTF officers and rebellious Rikers to bring her gang into compliance. Her followers do so under fear. If you're not with her, you're against her, and will meet the same fate as the authority figures that she hates so much. Once establishing themselves on the mainland, the Rikers had no problems boosting their numbers even further, as the local gangs heard about their movement and were eager to join. Of course, with this influx of new recruits came some power struggles too. This, however, is kept at bay by Lara Barrett. Known as much for her ruthlessness as her ability to plan, organize, and lead, Barrett's powerful leadership over the members show that the Rikers gang is not to be messed with.
We've got one enemy remaining.
When I was in Rikers, one of the girls got a hold of the pen. Stuck it right in the back of my head. So I took that pen and gave it right back to her. And wouldn't you know, it went straight through her eye, sliced open her cheek, ink all over the insides of her mouth.
Hostiles
But that
inbound.
wasn't
20
enough.
seconds.
So I cut the bitch's throat. And after I finished stabbing her, well, that was that.
10
I don't
seconds
do
until
second
next wave
chances.
of hostiles. Scan the target area.
Barrett encouraged brutality towards the JTF, telling her followers of the government's plan to leave them to starve and die on Rikers Island, and that they must be punished in the most horrific ways imaginable.
We know them. They're the same under that uniform. Police, parole officers, judges, guards, child mother skin protection officers. Fancy government agents with their fancy-ass watches and their shiny guns, prancing around like they fucking guards or something. They were gonna leave us to starve and die in there. They don't give 2 shits about our lives. They never have, and they never will. We just some trash in their way. They just assume we just blow right away. But we gonna be a storm instead. Gonna blow them to bits. These parasites in their shiny JTF uniforms, you know them. You've been dealing with them all your lives. All look the same on the inside. Well, let's see for ourselves, shall we? Yeah, that's what they look like on the inside. Ugly. So you make them suffer, you make them beg, you make them do whatever the hell you want. Just make sure you don't leave anyone alive.
Numerous reports have come in saying that JTF bodies have been found, and were killed in some of the worst ways possible. The Rikers were getting creative with their methods. They were making a statement. It was becoming a game, a sport. The majority of the Rikers' gear is from the clothing of uniformed officers that they've killed, as well as their bulletproof armor and weapons. Survival wasn't so easy on the mainland. A lot of the food and water had already been pillaged by rioters and civilians in need. Fortunately for the Rikers, the growing rumors of Barrett's brutality and ruthlessness were able to be used to secure supplies for their members.
Yo, this is Lorraine. What do you want from me? You know who I am. You know you can work for me, or, well, you don't have a lot of choices.
Look, I got no beef with you, okay? What do you want me to do?
Good man. What I need you to do is simple. You haul produce before you went on the inside, right?
Yeah.
My people need food. You're gonna find that food, and you're gonna give it to the people of my choosing. Get it? I tell you when and where. You keep it running.
There ain't gonna be a lot left.
Get creative. Find anything you can and bring it to me.
Fuck. This isn't gonna be easy. I'm gonna need trucks, and I'm gonna need drivers.
You'll have them. Deliveries start tomorrow. You hear me?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I sure do.
Eventually enough was enough. The JTF found where Lara Barrett and the Rikers had set up camp and sent in the division agents to take them down. The Rikers were using the Lexington Event Center as their HQ. The JTF officers that found the hideout were taken hostage, so the first step was to rescue the JTF and then shut down the Rikers by taking out Lara Barrett. Immediately upon entering the event center, it was obvious that this had been used as an area to humiliate and torture the JTF.
Hit the axe on the pig. How about 10 points if you get him in the arm? Eye for the hands!
What do you say, 20 for the head? 30?
Depends on how deep it goes in.
You know, that song, the one about the bridge. Damn, what's the name of that shit? You know, that guy sings it.
I can't even play piano, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't be shy now, boys. Every party needs some music.
Wait! I used to be in a band. I think I know the one. Follow my lead.
Right song, wrong key.
After rescuing the hostages, JTF officers joined up with the second wave agents to assist in the final fight against the well-defended Lara Barrett. Even in the last moments, Barrett continued to preach to her followers and showed maximum disrespect towards the government and authorities. Without Lara Barrett, the Rikers' threat was considerably reduced. In-house fighting started, and they were pushed into hiding. Even though she was not referenced much after her death, it's clear how much of an effect her death had on the Rikers. The planning and ruthless leadership of Barrett would never be replaced, but the Rikers were not down and out yet. Audio logs found in the underground show that the Rikers are now aware of the division's identity and express their hates towards them. The attack on the Lexington Event Center had them forced to retreat from the fancy apartments they took over down to the filthy conditions of the underground. They don't seem to be aware of the treason of the first wave agents, as the new leader of the Rikers talks about a mysterious speaker that smells like division, but still accepts her offer of weapons in return for attacking the quarantine center. The Rikers are continually looking for payback against the division, and this has been shown through encounters like Clear Skies and the massive attack that was launched on the news agency in the Stolen Signal battle.